Good morning, everyone. Virgo Triad here. It is June 25th, 2018. Happy Monday to everyone. I wanted to go over a couple of things that I have gotten comments and questions about with regards to the right to travel video that a lot of you saw on Dozik's channel. Many people will go in and actually attempt to try to search on YouTube or on Google, and they will try to find out whether it's an absolute necessity to have things like driver's licenses, registration, and insurance on your vehicle in order to drive in the United States in any specific state. And unfortunately, it's very sad for me to see that a good portion of the information that comes up on the first page is misinformation, and it is exactly that. The general argument, and I do say general because there are case laws that are cited and all of these things that are skewed to make it look different than what reality actually is. However, the general basis for it is they state that the U.S. Constitution gives the right to people to travel unimpeded regardless, which is true. You do have the right to travel. And if you are a passenger, or if you are someone who is walking, or you are someone who is riding a horse, then you are traveling. However, to operate a dangerous motor vehicle, and they can be quite dangerous, as we all know, the U.S. Constitution actually gives power to the states to make those regulations. So in reality, going into case law and all of these other things really doesn't make a lot of sense, because right in the Constitution, you can see that it gives power to the states to make these individual decisions for their specific state based on the scenario. Now, a lot of these case laws and everything that you guys have seen are all case laws back either prior to automobiles or prior to automobiles that went over 20 miles an hour. So we are talking about really, really old case law, and in a lot of these cases, the case law is being skewed, or it is being stripped apart, portions of it taken away and put back in order to make it serve the agenda of the person who is attempting to try to give you this misinformation. But in the meantime of all of that and the video coming out that I instructed you to take a look at if you were interested in this topic over on Dozik's channel, I had several questions come back to me after watching that. And so I want to answer the main three questions that came back to me. The first one being, why do we even need a driver's license? Okay, well, to most of you, probably a lot of you, that's going to sound like a really silly question. But let me go ahead and answer that question based on what all of the states say, because it may make a little bit more sense to those of you that feel that driver's licenses are just ridiculous and a way to get more money out of you. In reality, the driver's license is only about $26 or $27 per state, if that. So it's really not that much money, but aside from that fact, identification is one main purpose. It is identification either way, whether you have an ID card or whether you have a driver's license. But the additional identification that is provided with a driver's license is proof that you passed with knowledge the minimum driving requirements of that specific state to ensure safety on the roads and to the public. Okay, without a driver's license, I want to present something to you. Let's say, for example, that you are driving down the road. You are a licensed driver, and you have two children in the back of your vehicle. You have auto insurance, and you have a current registration to prove that the vehicle belongs to you. You get into an automobile accident with someone who doesn't have a driver's license. And as a result, the officers are not able to actually determine who it is that you got into the accident with, and neither are you, because they're not providing you with a valid driver's license. A valid driver's license being one that made them provide some form of identity like birth certificate and a secondary form of identity to prove that they are really who they say they are, not just somebody who makes up a name. In addition to that, it shows what the driving history is of that person. Without identification to prove who that party is, guess whose insurance company is going to be paying for that accident? yours. It's your insurance company's that's going to pay for it, and it's your insurance that's going to raise due to that. Even if the accident is not your fault, in most instances, you will be the one to take the hit for that. Now, let's move on and talk about registration for a minute. Okay, here we are looking at an example of a Idaho registration. It gives you the vehicle identification, the actual title number, and the name of the party that the vehicle belongs to. That is direct ownership. It is absolute, and it can tell a police officer. For example, I'm just going to give you an example here that might affect you directly. Let's say that you are at a party and you walk out from the party to go home and your vehicle is missing, and you presume that the vehicle has been stolen. You call the police department, and the police department is able to match up your name to the vehicle identification number along with that comes with the actual registration. Now they are aware that the vehicle does indeed belong to you. It also makes it easy for your insurance company to take a look and see that that vehicle identification number does belong to you as the registered owner, and therefore they are under obligation to cover that vehicle if you have the proper insurance to do so. In addition to that, if someone is pulled over who is driving your stolen vehicle and asked for registration, they're going to see that the registration does not belong to the party who's driving it, but rather the party who has stolen it. And therefore, you will be contacted and you will be made aware that the vehicle has been located. Again, this is another reason why it's important to have identification, because your identification links directly to the vehicle identification number, the title number, and directly back to the state and insurance company. See how it all links together, okay? It is important that everybody knows who that vehicle actually belongs to. Otherwise, anybody could claim that that vehicle belongs to them and keep right on going without ever being questioned or taken in, or the vehicle taken into consideration, no matter how much it looks like what you turned in as a stolen vehicle. Okay, well, moving on to the insurance cards. It's really surprising and a little terrifying to me how many people had questions with regards to why they should have to carry insurance if they don't really care if their vehicle gets totaled or not. They just figure that they will get another one, or maybe their vehicle's not worth that much money, and they don't understand why they would need to afford automobile insurance. But what you don't understand is that automobile insurance isn't actually about just you. Automobile insurance is for the purpose of covering you and another party should you make a mistake or accidentally end up running into someone and they get hurt or their property gets hurt, which happens 9 times out of 10 during an automobile accident, and they're very rarely something that you meant to have happen. That's why they're called accidents. In the event that you hit somebody else's vehicle, you're responsible, should you be found at fault, for covering that party's injuries and property damage. It is unbelievable to me that people do not understand what insurance is, but I had several questions with regards to this. People need to really think about what it is that they're talking about having happen should you not be required to have this type of documentation. Not having automobile insurance puts everybody on the road at risk around you, including yourself. Not having registration can put you at risk for not being able to get back a stolen vehicle, and can put a party that is not, who is less than honest, having the capability of being able to steal your actual automobile without worry of it being found out. In addition to that, not having a driver's license means not only that you're not going to be able to drive without potential infractions on your driving record, and eventually your driver's license will be taken or suspended from you. But it also means that you aren't able to have government issued identification. And in that case, most banks, insurance companies, um, even medical facilities or motels and hotels will not actually allow you to use their facilities because people, unfortunately, have proven themselves to be untrustworthy. When it comes to things like driver's licenses and identification cards, those things have been proven over and over again to be falsified when people were allowed to run around without them. And as a result, there were all kinds of things that went into place to ensure that that couldn't happen as much. And that is the purpose for having the documentation as it is today. And it's getting more and more stringent and more strict because people are finding more and more ways to try to fraudulently create their own. And that is something that your states actually regulate. And the U.S. Constitution gives the power to the states to regulate those things. So once again, I hope that everybody understands a little bit better the reason why we need to have things like driver's licenses, insurance, and registration. For anybody who did not understand this or feels that it's okay for the right to travel argument to be something that they think is a good idea, I want you to picture yourself on the other side of the situation where somebody who decided that they were allowed to travel in their own conveyance from point A to point B gets into an accident with you without insurance or registration or a driver's license and hurts your kids or hurts your property or damages you in some manner, and see how you would feel about your insurance company having to cover everything and not having a leg to stand on going after this other party. Because if the right to travel statement were actually the truth, that is exactly what you would be looking at. You would be looking at the potential of somebody doing damage to you and your family and not having to pay for it in any way, shape, or form. All right, I hope everybody has a wonderful day, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.